So in this video, I want to talk a little bit more about one of my absolute favorite topics, and that is the ongoing MAGA civil war, which, if you're paying attention to what's going on over there on the MAGA right, it is definitely on. This MAGA civil war is on, and it's getting worse, and it will get much worse as we get closer to the midterms and beyond. And a big reason that the MAGA civil war is erupting as early on in the Trump administration as it is. I mean, I knew this was going to happen. It's a little further along than I had expected that it would be at this time. But the reason is because of Donald Trump. I mean, this guy, he's a disaster. And, these people are in the end going to get what they deserve. They created this monster, and this monster is going to destroy them. Without a doubt. They turned the Republican Party, allowed their party to be turned into a personality cult with really one of the worst human beings on the planet as the head of this cult. They truly did create a monster. They turned their party over to that monster, and that monster is going to destroy them. And the evidence is all around. So I want to go through some things to make my point here. You saw it yesterday on full display with this Trump-Marjorie Taylor Greene feud, which I don't think is going the way Donald Trump expected it to go. In the past, anyone who Donald Trump sought to destroy on the right would be destroyed. If he called any Republican a traitor, that was it for that Republican. They're done. But he hasn't, it has not gone that way with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she did not back down. In fact, she called him a traitor in response. And it wasn't just Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's been trying to destroy Thomas Massie. I think we're talking about years now. I mean, he has been trying to destroy Thomas Massie for a long time, and he hasn't been able to do it. And with each attempt to destroy someone by Donald Trump that doesn't work, it further shows that he's weakening, that he's losing his power. And I think that what happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie standing up to him, this Epstein vote. And yes, this guy has been changing his tune over the last couple of days because he was going to lose this whole thing. He saw that he was going to lose it, so he had to pretend that he wasn't losing. And so for PR reasons, he had to go out there and say, yeah, that he supports the Congress. Actually, I don't know that he ever said he supported the Congress passing this bill, but he said he supported the House doing it. He had hoped he'd be able to kill it in the Senate. This whole thing just blew up in his damn face. He didn't want it to go like this at all. And it did. And every Republican, every single Republican in Congress who voted for this knows that Donald Trump did not want it to pass, and yet they did it anyway. Now, for each of them, there might be different reasons as to why they did it, but I want to give you some of my thoughts as to why some of them might have done it here in a little bit. But this could be a pivotal moment, this whole Epstein debacle for Trump and the House voting to release the files. Not that the files are going to be released. They're not going to be released. The cover-up continues, which means that the whole Epstein issue continues. The fight will go on. So Donald Trump's nightmare, that his Epstein nightmare will continue as well. And importantly, to my point of this video here, Epstein will continue to divide MAGA. It will continue to be a problem that rips MAGA apart. There's going to be a lot of issues that tears MAGA apart, but Epstein is definitely going to be one of them. And the fact that he will continue to cover up, which he will, in, and the fact that we now have a statute demanding, requiring the release of this material, which will not be released, it's going to get good. And the Epstein thing is not going away for him. But beyond that, there's other reasons leading to this MAGA crack up. And look, I don't know where this is ultimately going to go, but the Republican Party may be in a really, really bad place by the time this is all done. This MAGA implosion is going to do such damage to the Republican Party. I don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be at least two, if not multiple factions. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of Republicans who want to return the Republican Party to normality. But that's just going to be that's going to be a fraction, because most of the base of the Republican Party is no longer the old normie Republican Party. Most of the base voters of the Republican Party are now full-on fucking MAGA lunatics. And they're not going to be corralled and cajoled back into normality. It's not going to happen. They're crazy. And you're going to have a bunch of the crazies, different factions of crazy, battling with each other to compete for the MAGA base, which is going to be leaderless pretty soon. And these people are going to be abandoning Trump as well. Not all of them, but more and more of them, for no other reason, than their own political survival, at least the politicians. Because one of the things that's going to contribute to this continuing and accelerating MAGA crack up is the fact that the leader of their cult is pretty much hated by the entire country, except for the hardcore MAGA base. I mean, he is universally despised by Democrats and by almost as many independents. So all that leaves left that support him, arguably, are Republicans, and not all Republicans. He has lost like 10 points in support among Republicans since the start of his term. He's losing even, just regular, well, what used to be, I guess, normie Republicans who I guess don't go in for all the total crazy. Of course, they voted for this guy after everything he's done. So, I mean, I don't want to apply the word normal to them, or anyway. But the point is, he's losing even Republicans who aren't full on part of the crazy ass MAGA personality cult. So really all he's left with are those people. And the Republicans in Congress, but not just in Congress, but all around the country who are going to run for office, they can read the friggin' polls. And the polls are a disaster for Trump and for their party. We got a new Reuters Ipsos poll that came out yesterday, has Trump at 38%. The NBC poll from a week or two ago has Trump at 36%. And then today, we get a new Marist poll, I think it was Marist and PBS, has Trump at 39%. But most important from that poll is that they have Democrats with a 14-point advantage and a 14-point lead over Republicans in the generic congressional ballot. Now that is going to cause panic throughout the Republican political class, because there's only one reason for that, and it's Donald Trump. He is dragging the entire party down, and he will affect damn near every race everywhere in this country, because we have nationalized everything. Everything is national now. I mean, it doesn't matter the race almost. There's almost nothing too local where Trump is not the friggin' center of it, because there's so little local focus to our politics anymore. It used to be, Tip O'Neill famously said, all politics is local. I think it was Tip O'Neill. I don't think that's true anymore. All politics is national. And Donald Trump is the center of that. And the American people hate this fucker, right? So this is not good for Republicans. And so they see that Democrats have a 14-point lead in the generic congressional ballot, where you ask respondents to the poll, if the election were held today, which party would you vote for, Republicans or Democrats? Democrats have a 14-point lead. We haven't seen a lead that big in the generic congressional ballot since 2017, before the first Trump midterm, when Republicans got destroyed. And the way things are going, that's going to happen again, and it might even be worse for Republicans this time. Republican politicians see that, and they know that Donald Trump is the reason. And they're going to have a problem. How the hell and you know what? This is why I said they created a monster and the monster's destroying them. They have this problem where, what the hell do? We have to distance ourselves from Trump, or we're not going to win general elections. But we're not going to win primary elections if we get a primary opponent, if we distance ourselves from Trump. So what the hell do we do? And even if we don't have a primary opponent, if we distance ourselves from Trump, if we criticize Trump in any way, these hardcore MAGA, Trump cultists, they're not going to vote for me. They will sit at home. They will not vote for someone who criticizes their cult leader. And they can't afford to lose that vote. They can't afford to lose the crazies. So how do you keep the crazies on your side and appeal to a general election electorate? That's a toughie. I don't know what you guys are going to come up with, but that's quite the pickle. And we tried to fucking warn you. These people, they didn't have to nominate Donald Trump in 2024. There was a primary. I mean, it wasn't much of a primary, but it was a primary. There were other candidates. You had Meatball Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, good friggin' gravy. That guy's running for Ohio governor. I don't know how that's going for him, but good Lord. Who else? Chris Christie. There were others. The point is, they had a primary. They did not have to choose this guy. And imagine if they had chosen someone else. Imagine if they had nominated Nikki Haley. She was the last person standing against Trump. Imagine if they had nominated Nikki Haley. Okay. Nikki Haley would probably be president today. Whoever they nominated, and now after we see what happened in that election and the reason people voted the way they voted, pretty much any Republican would have won the last election. I mean, it's debatable. I don't want to get into a thing about it, but that's probably likely. So if they had gone with Nikki Haley would probably be president today. Do you think they would have the freaking problems they have right now for themselves if Nikki Haley was president? She wouldn't have done these tariffs. She wouldn't be committing crimes left and right. None of that would happen. And they wouldn't be down 14 points right now to Democrats in the generic congressional ballot. They did this to themselves. They chose to do this. They chose to nominate a 34-time convicted felon, insurrectionist, adjudicated sexual abuser, criminal piece of shit. That's who they decided. They had other choices. This was their choice. They chose to do this to themselves. So they're going to get exactly what they deserve. I don't know if you can hear my dogs. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. Someone's here or something. I don't know. Anyway, I shall not be deterred. Okay, so they can read the polls. That's going to further exacerbate and accelerate this MAGA crack up. The other thing is just the facts of what's going on in this country. The economy. The Marist poll, they asked voters, respondents to the poll, to rank the issues that were most important to them. The price of things, the price of groceries, the economy generally speaking, but the price of things was the most important issue to 57% of respondents. And things aren't getting better. That's why Taco Trump has rescinded some of his tariffs. He's desperate. He's panicked. He's trying desperately to get his poll numbers up. He's literally trying to buy people's support. He's promising these $2,000 tariff refund checks or surplus checks. It's friggin' ridiculous. But I mean, it's blatant. He's just trying. There is no tariff surplus. He says we're going to pay these $2,000 checks and we're going to pay down the debt with all this surplus money. There is no such surplus money. We don't have anywhere near enough surplus money to do it. I mean, tariff money to do that. It's ridiculous. He doesn't care. He just wants to take money from the Treasury, our tax money, to buy people's support with $2,000 checks. By the way, if he does that, if Congress does not approve that, and he somehow does that, yet another impeachable offense. Clear violation of separation of powers, should be impeached and removed from office. Presidents have no authority to spend money that hasn't been appropriated by Congress, and to spend money literally to just try to buy support from the American people so that your party doesn't get wiped out in the election next year. Come on. I mean, is there anything that this friggin' piece of shit won't be impeached for? I mean, or will be impeached for? Hey, fingers crossed on that. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's crush Republicans in the midterms, and maybe we'll be in a real position to talk about not only impeachment, but removal from office. Anyway, so you got these polls that are terrible, the facts on the ground of everything that's happening in this country, terrible for Republicans, terrible for Trump. Got an article here about how Americans can't afford McDonald's anymore. That's the title of this article. Why Americans can't afford McDonald's anymore. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but they're talking to a bunch of people in this article. They're talking to this a parent. He says, you can't get a large fries for less than $5 anymore. And every kid wants the fucking fries. He noticed the prices really started to climb during the pandemic when all the supply chains went to hell and they haven't come back. Which is true. But wasn't Trump going to bring down the price of everything starting on day one? Yeah, hasn't happened, has it? I want to read a little more from this article. In 2000, a Big Mac cost about $2.24. By mid-2025, the average price had climbed to $6. Adjusted for general inflation, that $2.24 sandwich from 2000 would work out to about $4.22 in today's dollars. In other words, a McDonald's signature burger costs roughly 40% more than it did 25 years ago. Other menu items have soared too. A Finance Buzz analysis found that a quarter pounder with cheese meal more than doubled over the decade, from $5.39 in 2014 to $11.99 in 2024. A 10-piece McNuggets meal climbed from $7.19 in 2019 to $9.19 in 2024. Across 10 popular menu items, McDonald's prices have roughly doubled since 2014. On and on and on. These are the kind of things that Donald Trump can't lie his way out of. You know, he's just denies reality, lies about it. He knows this affordability thing is an issue, so he just pretends there is no affordability thing. He says it's fake news. Prices are coming down. Prices have never been lower, whatever bullshit he says. But you know what? People know how much a Big Mac is at McDonald's. People who go to McDonald's know what it costs, right? People know that the price of buying a chicken McNugget Happy Meal for their kid is up. They know this. They know their grocery prices have not come down. You know, and when you lie to them about that, they know you're lying and only insults their intelligence and pisses people off, quite frankly. So you got that. I got another article here about how small businesses are getting destroyed in this economy. Let me read just a little of this. One guy quoted here, they talk about here, Doug Scheffel, owner of a family-run ETM manufacturing of a family-run ETM manufacturing in Massachusetts, laid off about a quarter of his employees in April as the Trump administration's haphazard tariff rollout dented demand for the machine parts and sheet metal his company sells. Quote, everyone is hunkering down and building up cash. It's never been this bad. It's very uncertain and impossible to plan in this environment. That's why this is so bad for business across the board. This schizophrenic friggin' buffoon who doesn't give a damn about the country, with the tariffs on and off. The tariffs have nothing to do with what he says they're about. They're not about bringing manufacturing back to this country. I've explained many times why that's not going to happen. Nobody is going to relocate their manufacturing operation to the United States if they were not already planning to do that. No one's going to do that just because of Trump's tariffs. It's insanity to think otherwise. It's just not happening. So it's not working to bring manufacturing back. It's not generating the tons of, he says trillions and trillions of dollars. We're going to pay off our national debt. We're going to give everybody checks. That's ridiculous. Not happening. And that's not the reason he did the tariffs. The reason he did the tariffs was to extort money to line his own pockets. Literally for countries and companies and corrupt people to literally put money in his pocket, buy up his meme coin crap, do contracts with his family business. If you're for a foreign country, let him build his friggin' golf courses with favorable terms in your country, or what else, or whatever. Give him a fucking plane, give him, whatever. Just literally bribe the guy in order to get the tariffs off. That's what it's about. And by the way, more impeachable offenses. I mean, I cannot even, if you put a gun to my head and I had to come up, recount all of the crimes and impeachable offenses he has committed just since January, I couldn't possibly do it. The list is too long. Anyway, this is the business climate in this country. You can't plan. Like this guy says, you cannot plan. You don't know what your cost structure is going to be. You don't know what the regulatory structure is going to be. You don't know if you just don't know, and you just can't plan. You can't operate a business like this. You can't hire people not knowing what the future is going to be. And by the way, these small businesses are in the worst position to try to survive all this stuff. Like major corporations, they can survive this uncertainty for a period of time, right? They're sitting on piles of cash and assets and all this stuff. They can weather this storm. A small business, you don't got the reserves to weather this and say, oh, well, when this guy gets out of office, we just need to get into, survive until this guy is out of office and maybe things settle down and become more normal. And, we can plan for the future based on, some stability in the economy and in the law and tariffs and all this stuff. You can't, a small business might not survive. They're in a much worse position than major corporations are. And is it any surprise? The only people really benefiting in this Trump economy are the major corporations. And this friggin' sun is, that's even worse. Oh, there we go. That's better. Nope. How about here? Yeah, that's better. Okay. Of course, now it's like illuminating my paper to the point I can't friggin' read it. All right. Anyway, moving on. I got to wrap this thing up. Back to the Republicans in Congress real quick. This Epstein thing, I told you I had some thoughts about why some of them might be abandoning or voted against Trump on the Epstein stuff. I've told you many times, and this is absolutely true. A lot of Republicans, oh, sorry, I might have just screwed up the audio there. We'll see how that goes. A lot of these Republicans in Congress friggin' hate Trump. Even the ones who out there publicly kissing his ass because they have to. Because they got to get votes from the cult. So they got to kiss his ass. And they're all a bunch of cowards. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping Marjorie Taylor Greene, standing up to Trump, calling him a traitor, punching him right back. I hope she inspires others to stand up to him. Her, Tom Massey, the fact that they're surviving, maybe this will give some other Republicans who know that it's in their best interest politically going into the future to stand up to this guy. Maybe they will have the courage to do so. But anyway, so many of them hate this friggin' guy for exactly the reason that you see going on around here. They're 14 points down to Democrats. This is terrible for Republicans. This guy is a disaster. They hate him. So many of them do. I wonder if a lot of them just couldn't wait to vote to release the Epstein files because they're secretly hoping that this Epstein stuff brings him down. Because they know that he's in those files. They know he's hiding something really, really bad. Maybe they just are trying to do everything they can to get it out. Maybe they're hoping this brings him down. I tell you, they would much rather be running in 2026 and running in 2028 with President J.D. Vance as the head of their party instead of Donald Trump. It would be much better for them. I mean, J.D. Vance is another whole set of problems, but he's also, yeah, he's a chameleon. You know, right now he's being as nasty and horrible a human being as he can because he's vice president to Donald Trump. And he's playing to the cult and he's doing what Trump wants him to do. He wants Trump's endorsement for 2028. He wants to be Trump's handpicked successor in 2028. And you do that by doing whatever the hell Donald Trump wants you to do. And that is to be as horrible as you can. But if Trump is forced out by whatever reason, whatever means, he's no longer president for whatever reason, and it's J.D. Vance, I can see J.D. Vance moderating at least his tone. He's not going to be as batshit crazy as Trump. He's not going to keep these tariffs in place and all this kind of crazy shit. He would be much better for Republicans at the top of the ticket than Donald Trump. So I wonder if some of these Republicans are just secretly hoping that this Epstein thing brings Trump down, and that's why they voted for it. I don't know. Just a thought. And then finally, you know what? I'm going to save this one. So that's it for now. By the way, if you just can't get enough Romano in your life, and really, come on, you can't get too much Romano. I do have two other YouTube channels. I don't talk about them much. There's Romano and the Romano Report podcast, where I do this, but longer. And I cover a lot more things. And anyway, if you want more content, check out those two channels. They're linked in the video description below. So that's it. Thanks for watching.